What do you got here? CGA says all men pay. Is this correct? Or is it really, man, you're all full of questions today. Or is it really, do you want to do an AMA? I'll just do an AMA today if you want to. Or is it really all betas pay? Does Chad get boxed for free via validational intimacy because of good genes? Well, you already know what I'm going to say. There's a difference between transactional sex and validational sex. You already know the answer to this. All men pay depends on how long that guy sticks around. So I would, and it also depends on like what you consider paying. I've had CGA is not the first. This is not novel. I've had this conversation with Aaron Clary like since back in like 2012, I think. I wrote this essay about the difference between validational sex and transactional sex, and the reason why I brought this up is because there is, like, if you look in like primate cultures, such as it is, like chimps, silverback gorillas, hell, even like macaque monkeys, right? Am I saying that? Macaque monkeys. There's always going to be a transactional nature for certain monkeys, for certain primates. So you've got the berry pickers, right? You've got the for lack of a better term, the beta male chimps, and then you've got the alpha male who has basically monopolistic access to the fertile female monkeys. Okay, now I know what you're gonna say. I got the criticism already, so we'll get to that here in a second. But the idea is that it's not that beta male monkeys don't get sex. They only get sex when the female monkeys are in their down cycle, and they only get it if they pick enough nits off of the female, or they offer enough bananas, or they child care, like they babysit. If the beta male that is like sort of orbiting the females that are part of the alpha male's harem, when they are in estrus, they don't allow the beta male monkeys to inseminate. I mean, odds are they're not going to. I mean, maybe occasionally they do, but not by design. And so if a beta male monkey wants to watch the alpha male's monkey want to be cuckolded while they go off and have sex when they're in estrus, then that's services rendered. So you can make the case that transactional sex is not just something that's unique to humankind. It is an aspect of higher order life forms, right? Mammals, I guess, certainly primates in general. Now, a lot of people are going to say, I'll give you the criticism. Here's the criticism. A lot of people want to say that, well, monkeys are more communitarian, or they're more egalitarian. And so what happens is if a big alpha male monkey constantly like sort of tyrannizes and dominates the group, then all the beta male monkeys form a coalition and they tear him limb from limb. And they do sometimes if the alpha male monkey's not on top of his game. You want to know why there's bullying in humankind and also in primate kind, is because that has a purpose. Bullying has a purpose. It's to keep the beta male monkeys from forming a coalition and tearing him limb from limb. Literally, I don't know if you've ever seen how strong a freaking chimp is. It'll tear a human apart. I don't know what the tensile strength is of like the biceps of a chimp is, but it will tear you limb from limb. And they do so. What they don't tell you is that the most alpha of the coalition of chimps then steps into the role of it's not like they have like some sort of like, democracy where it's like some sort of, Hellenistic, ancient Greek democracy where they all get together. Now we have a better society because we killed and tore that monkey limb from limb. No, the most alpha male monkey of that group, of that coalition that killed the previous alpha, he becomes the new alpha. That's what they don't tell you. So yeah, all it does is repeat the cycle. And I'll tell you, the other thing is that the first thing that happens when that new alpha comes in after the rival's been dismembered, comes in and kills off all of his offspring. That's the infanticide. First thing he does is go in, and by the way, that's not just monkeys, like lions do the same thing, right? We'll go in and kill off the existing offspring of the previous rival alpha, right? Those are the ugly aspects of all this that nobody wants to tell you. Everybody thinks they're just like these peace-loving beatnik, hippie monkeys, bonobos, whatever. Bonobos are pretty violent too. But what happens then is that has the effect of sending all the females into estrus. And so the uglier fact of this is that because the previous rival was torn limb from limb, now all the baby monkeys are dead, and it sends the mamas into estrus, who, by the way, are happy to accept the new alpha and have his babies as well. They have no problem. If you would like the studies, I have them saved in my bookmarks on my Twitter. So yeah, I mean, you can always make a case for the transactional nature of sex. Okay. Is it you always pay? If you don't fuck, you always pay. I'll say that. See, there is a validational side to all of this too, and I don't think a lot of people like CGA and the rest of these guys who are like sort of like CGA comes from like the MGTOW, coalition of 2018, 2019. And a lot of these guys, as part of the sort of black pill doomer nihilistic, despondency that was the black pill back then, they tend to look at things from a very sort of negative perspective, because they're guys that generally don't fuck. And I'm not saying that about CGA personally. I'm just saying that the guys who adopt this idea, they tend to be the guys that people just don't fuck, right? Do I have my boys in yet? Oh, okay. Miguel's on his way. They're on their way. Okay, we'll have them in a little bit. So do they always pay? Chad always gets boxed for free. Always gets boxed for free. Well, see, the thing is like, yeah, up to a point. You can say, well, yeah, Chad gets boxed for free. Box. Stop even calling it. He gets pussy. Okay, he fucks. He gets boxed for free. You know what I think of when somebody says never paid for box? You know what I think of? There's this place that says franchises here in Las Vegas. It's called Pink Box Donuts. And I think of that and I go, you guys are like, just don't put that image in my brain. You teach a man you pay for a hooker for a guy and you get him laid for a night. But if you teach a man game, you get him laid for a lifetime, and you help him sort of stay, educated, and he understands the game a whole lot more. Can you pay for box? Yeah, but it's kind of self-defeating ultimately. And then the other thing is like, a lot of people say, oh, Rollo, what do you think about like paying for hookers and stuff? I said, as a means to an end, if you're like in a crushing dry spell, if that's you, it's not me, but if that's you, I'm far be it from it. But if the problem isn't actually buying or paying for pussy, it's doing it consistently. It's this addiction, a pussy addiction. It's this prostitution addiction. And it's never been easier in the history of mankind to get addicted to that right now. There are apps called Tryst.com and skipthegames.com. You can fuck a new chick every night if you wanted to. And I live in Nevada, so you can fuck and Las Vegas, Nevada. You can fuck a new chick every night, right? Escorts, we just call them escorts. Sex workers, we just call them sex workers, right? So are you paying for it? Yeah, do all men pay? No, but I would say probably at least 80% of them do in some way, shape, or form, right? And so the conversations that I've had with Aaron Clary is like, well, as soon as you get involved with them, then you can technically say, well, I got to pay for a house, I got to pay for a car, I got to pay for this, I got to pay for that, I got to pay for the kids, I got to pay for school, I got to pay for wherever we're living, I got whatever it is, right? So you can use that and say, well, I have to finance the pussy that I'm getting. Well, if that's the case, then don't fucking get married and be the guy who fucks. If that's a positive outcome for you, if that's where you want to be, then by all means, go ahead. I'll be the last one to judge you for something like that, but it all depends on what you want with your life. So does Chad get boxed for free? No. So the difference between validational sex, and I had to learn this firsthand, actually. The difference between validational sex and transactional sex is like once you're the guy once you become the hot guy in the foam cannon party in Cancun on spring break, and the chick is cheating on her dedicated, wonderful, loyal, dutiful provider boyfriend, and she's there, and you were cute, she was drunk, and one thing led to another, you will understand the difference between transactional sex and validational sex. Validational sex is the sex that women want to have. He is hot. I need to fuck this guy. Hypergamy can't afford to miss out on an occasion to manifest itself, right? So if you want to know why girls give blowjobs to just random guys, it's to keep that guy interested so that she can come back to it later, right? It's a mate retention behavior is what is it, like giving a guy a blowjob, right? By the way, the same thing goes for like going down on your girl. Beta males do that. If you can give a girl an orgasm, this is theoretical. I'm not saying this is necessarily set in stone, but the idea is that if a guy can get his woman off with his mouth, that's a mate retention behavior, right? So if you can get good at that and you can consistently give her orgasms through cunnilingus, let's just use the scientific term, then it's a mate retention technique, strategy. Same thing with giving a guy a blow. Right. Well, why does that exist? Well, because there's some guys who get it and some guys who don't. There's some guys who have to pay for it, and there's some guys who are the berry picking monkeys who have to pick the nits and do the housekeeping and have to do services rendered. And then maybe he gets access to this sort of lackluster starfish sex, which is, by the way, analogous to what happens in primate, chimp troops and stuff like that. So yes and no. I would say, the longer you stick in a relationship, the more it seems like it's transactional and the more it becomes transactional. People want to say, well, Rollo, I can't get the frame back. Yeah, because you used to have validational sex and now you're having transactional sex because you moved in with her, because you married her, because now you owe all this stuff to her.